Boss Robertson here. Going to show you a little trick we've talked about before, but we all need a good reminding. Pre-winterization. What the heck is that? That's a few steps that I take when we're fishing this time of year, and basically we can be in sub-freezing temps. Even if you've got a nice heated garage like I do, maybe you don't, like BT and Bob. You want to take a few steps that's going to make sure you don't ruin your fancy equipment. And one of them here, or even if it's junky equipment, you don't want to ruin anything. Step number one, OSHA, please don't call me, but we've got a couple 2x4s tied together there. Basically, I just use this so that I can more quickly lift up my tongue. You want to do that to get the water out of the boat. Believe it or not, a ton of water gets up towards the bow in these things, so you want to get that all going out the back. And that kind of leads us to number two, which is you want to make sure that your drain plug is out. So any water that doesn't accumulate in there can get out. A ton of water gets in there. If you don't jack up the bow like this, guarantee you're going to have a problem. So this next step you're preferably going to do at the ramp, and that's just trim that motor down. You know, don't drain that water right on the ramp where people are actually at, because then it's going to cause it to freeze also. But trimming this thing down, you know, I can do this in my shop. I've got a jack plate on my Ranger, so it's kind of nice. I have enough distance there to get this completely down. And the other thing that I do right outside my drain and also my lure unit here is got a 50-gallon drum just kind of cut off, so I can slide that right underneath the trailer, so any of the water that's coming out of the drain and or the lower unit won't get all over the floor and all over the place, but yet we can slide it underneath both of these things because there's not a lot of clearance. So the other big deal we have is bad gas. So those last trips, you probably want to run a good wreck fuel or something like that. But even if you're going to use 87, I don't care what you're using, make sure that you treat your fuel with a stabilizer. Something that's also going to have like an octane deal in it. But look for something that has a high concentration. So like this one that I'm using right now has got 1 ounce for 16 gallons. A lot of those out there, if you read the label, they're not high concentrate. They're like 1 ounce to 1 gallon. That's no good. You want a much higher concentrate. The other big thing is you want to run this through your motors. Just don't pour this in at the end of your trips and be done. Make sure it gets through the lines themselves and run. Like the kicker motor, make sure you run it thoroughly through there, the big motor and all that. And then just keep kind of adding on to that as you go out in the next couple of trips. Because I hopefully have another week or so in the boat. But regardless, I have this in here already ready because I don't want to get caught with my pants down. Know what I mean? You know, the common theme here is water is not your friend. So getting some RV antifreeze and getting it ahead of season is an even better deal because it's generally way, way cheaper. I always keep a few gallons on hand. What we want to do is we want to pour this in our live wells or anywhere that holds water. We got a bait well in this Ranger too, and we're going to recirculate that until it comes out the top. And then I'm just going to drain it and, you know, basically turn the pumps off, let that stuff drain out and run out. And it's going to go right down into that little drum that we have cut. And that way I'm not going to have water sitting in that. Same thing can go for bilge pumps. Anywhere there's water going to be sitting, I'll actually pour a little bit of this in here in long-term storage because we want to dilute that basically because there's going to be places you get water you don't even realize it, but we want to minimize that. So RV antifreeze for the win, make sure you have a few of these gallons on there, and even in between trips, or if you don't have a heated garage, you may have to do this several times throughout the season. So another thing that deals with your boat, but maybe not pre-winterization exactly, is if you are fishing in those conditions, make sure you get a bucket full of salt here. And I've learned through the years to keep the gear from getting torn up. A cheap cup is also nice for distributing that to get that on the ramp. You know, you don't want to slide down, then you got a whole nother problem. And I've slid down before. A couple of you guys that watch this have actually seen it happen. So what I've got here is a recovery rope, and here's the trick. Not just having one, because I had one, it was the back of the truck, but one of my buddies was like, I can't get it. He's kind of a short candy ass. But nevertheless, you got to have that thing accessible. So I've got this now in the back seat of my truck, or even the front seat if I know it's really going to be nasty like it is here coming up. So a lot of these tips you guys probably know, but we all need a little refresher. It's kind of like wearing your life jacket. We know we should, but most of us don't. So if you could think of anything that we should have on our pre-winterization or kind of when it gets nasty bucket list of things to carry, let us know. Drop a comment below.